The man stood at the bottom of the slope, binoculars pressed to his face, scanning the terrain as gunfire echoed sporadically. Each shot seemed to guide his head like a predator following prey. He glanced briefly at another figure beside him, a quick exchange of instructions passing between them. The man with the binoculars spoke with authority, outlining a plan to prepare for an imminent attack. Legworms, massive creatures controlled by their enemies, were about to climb the slope. These beasts would have a hard time navigating the trees, offering a slight advantage. Orders were given. 3 blasts of a whistle would signal a retreat, but for now it was time to stand firm. The second man hurried to another group waiting near a tree. These were seasoned fighters, their faces calm and focused, radiating confidence. He explained the situation. 10 legworms would soon approach, but the dense forest would hinder their movement. He directed 2 teams to prepare their catapults with grenades. These makeshift weapons, though simple, could hurl explosives with surprising precision. The fighters set to work, their movements efficient and practiced. Moving along the defenses, the man inspected their setup. Barricades made from a wagon and timber created a gate of sorts, manned by determined individuals ready for the assault. He emphasized the importance of targeting the riders atop the legworms rather than the creatures themselves. The grenades, he reassured them, would be their greatest weapon. The men nodded, gripping their rifles with a mix of anticipation and resolve. A distant, eerie horn echoed through the forest, signaling the enemy's approach. The fighters answered with howls, their cries echoing through the trees, a display of defiance and unity. The enemy's arrival was marked by a rustling sound, like dry leaves in the wind. Then they emerged, pale, yellow, centipede-like creatures slinking up the slope, each carrying several troll-like figures armed with rifles and shields. Gunfire erupted, the air filled with the sharp cracks of rifles and the deeper booms of grenades. Explosions tore through the advancing line. One legworm collapsed as grenades detonated beneath it, its massive body writhing in its final moments. Another was struck in its nerve center, convulsing violently and scattering its riders. Yet the attackers pressed on. Some legworms broke through the defenses, their riders leaping into close combat. Chaos erupted as axes clashed with bayonets and rifles discharged at close range. One fighter found himself trapped under the weight of a fallen legworm, its twitching legs hammering against him. Nearby, his comrades fought fiercely, their grenades turning the tide against the attackers. A grog, its eyes burning with rage, raised its weapon to strike him, but 2 sudden shots felled the creature just in time. He freed himself, only to see the surviving grogs retreat into the forest. The defenders cheered, their relief palpable, though their victory was far from secure. As the day wore on, the attacks continued relentlessly. Each wave brought the enemy closer, testing the defenders' strength and resolve. Snipers hidden among the trees added to the danger, forcing the defenders to rely on grenades and concentrated fire to silence them. The enemy encircled the hill like a tightening noose, their strategy aimed at wearing down the defenders. By noon, there was a brief lull in the fighting. The weary fighters took the opportunity to rest, eat, and prepare for the next assault. Rain clouds gathered ominously, promising to add to their misery. When the next wave came, it brought more chaos. A sniper's bullet struck the leader, leaving him wounded and the fighters momentarily uncertain. As the whistle blew, signaling a rally, the defenders braced themselves once again, knowing the battle was far from over. The chaos of battle swirled around the group as the man gave quick orders to his team. He carefully observed a soldier with a growing bruise, but finding no serious injury, he turned his focus to the task ahead. Addressing the team, he assigned 5 skilled men to accompany a resourceful scout who was already gathering supplies. Despite a jest about her ability to go unnoticed, she confidently assured them of her capability, brushing off the remarks with a cold stare. The man, suppressing his doubts, reminded everyone of the urgency. There was no time to waste, they had to move. As the group prepared, another soldier unveiled a makeshift battle wagon, heavily reinforced for the dangerous descent. Knives jutted from the wheels, and sandbags lined its sides, offering some protection. Weapons and grenades were secured in every corner, ready for use. The team climbed aboard, tense but determined, as the man reviewed the plan one last time. Darkness was falling, cloaking the forest in shadows, and the air felt thick with impending danger. When the signal came, the wagon creaked into motion, rolling down the slope. Each soldier gripped a brake lever, controlling their speed as bullets whizzed past them. Grenades exploded on either side, scattering attackers who dared to approach. and a hulking enemy leapt onto the trail, but the wagon's wheel knives tore through it before it could strike. Despite their efforts, a brake broke, leaving the wagon careening uncontrollably. The man ordered the brakes pressed harder, but the leather pads gave out, leaving them vulnerable as they emerged from the trees. Gunfire erupted from all sides. One soldier fell, clutching his arm, while others fought back fiercely. The man lit flares, casting harsh light over the battlefield and exposing their attackers. A deadly foe emerged, cloaked and hooded, but a well-placed shot from the man's oversized rifle sent it sprawling. Though injured, it managed to retreat, leaving them momentarily relieved but still in danger. Realizing they couldn't hold their position, the man yelled for everyone to abandon the wagon and head for the woods. Chaos erupted as enemies surged forward, but the group fought their way out, their determination unwavering. One soldier, gravely wounded, urged the others to leave him, but the man refused. Hoisting him onto his shoulders, he pushed forward, ignoring the pain and exhaustion consuming his body. As they reached the hill's base, the man ordered the remaining soldiers to regroup. The rear guard, who had stayed behind to cover their escape, greeted them with a volley of gunfire, buying precious moments. A second wagon, rigged with explosives, was sent hurtling down the hill. The resulting explosions tore through their pursuers, lighting up the night and giving the group a chance to escape. The team pressed on through a ravine, following a trail scouted by the resourceful scout. Along the way, they found signs of her silent efficiency, fallen enemies dispatched without a single shot fired. Exhausted but alive, the group finally caught up to the rear guard. Relief washed over them as they realized they had survived the night, thanks to teamwork, grit, and a bit of luck. The journey wasn't over, but for now, they had earned a moment's respite. The area known as Fort Smith sits along the Arkansas River, a significant point of activity in a world reshaped by ongoing conflict. A large sign reads, "Hell on the Border," echoing its historical reputation as a frontier post and a station of justice. Back then, prisoners would await trial in grim cells. Now, the post serves as a hub for capturing and managing runaways, deserters, and other individuals deemed a threat to the free territory. It stands as a critical outpost manned by the guards, the dedicated military force tasked with defending the border. Life at Fort Smith is intense. The post constantly faces threats, with guard regiments regularly deploying to address border issues or respond to the Curian Zone's attacks. Patrols deal with everything from supernatural dangers to mundane crimes. The graveyard near Bell Point bears silent witness to the price paid by those who serve here. Despite the challenges, Fort Smith offers its inhabitants some forms of distraction. Theaters host performers, while pubs and restaurants provide a brief escape from duty. A few establishments cater specifically to civilians and soldiers, though these moments of levity are tempered by the constant threat of war. Among the guards and civilians, a unique group stands apart: hunters. These individuals, skilled in combat and survival, carry a certain mystique. Their intense presence unsettles even the guards, but when danger looms, their value is undeniable. Amid this environment, a man with a past shaped by war arrives. Recently issued orders mark the effective end of his unit, Foxtrot Company, after severe losses. With his leave granted, he chooses Fort Smith as his temporary refuge. Here, he plans to report for duty, reflect on the devastating events, and perhaps find some peace along the river. On his arrival, he follows the necessary protocol, checking in with the military offices and informing his superiors of his presence. Free to spend his time as he chooses, he sets out to explore the town. Carrying little but his memories and modest belongings, he stands out among the polished uniforms of the guards and the bustling energy of the town's streets. Wandering the area, he finds a boarding house called Donna's Den. The house, marked by a mix of rustic charm and practicality, is run by a woman who radiates warmth and discipline. Her son, a young and observant boy, opens the door but shows little enthusiasm. The man secures a room after negotiating terms, agreeing to do some chores in exchange for affordable lodging. Inside, he notices a shrine dedicated to the woman's late husband, a former soldier. Her hospitality is balanced with clear rules, reflecting her long-standing connection to the military community. She also provides him with helpful directions to a Command Intelligence Division office, a place he needs to visit to deliver a critical report. Following her guidance, he finds the office within an old museum. The museum itself paints a vivid picture of history, from natural disasters to the Ravi's plague, and ultimately to the arrival of the Curians. The exhibits offer a chilling reminder of humanity's struggles and the world's current state. As the man prepares to make his report, He reflects on the blend of chaos, resilience, and duty that defines Fort Smith. In this place, the past and present intertwine, and every person plays a role in the ongoing battle for survival. The woman scribbled a note on her notepad and spoke calmly. We don't know much about these people. We suspect they might be from railroad security. They've been seen in several areas, she said while flipping through a folder. The current theory is they use what we call Q trains. These trains are disguised as regular cargo trains but are filled with soldiers. If anyone tries to attack them, expecting supplies like tires or medicine, they're met with an entire regiment of armed men. But we haven't seen any direct reports of these forces attacking Southern Command, so most of this is just speculation for now. The man responded, sharing his own observations. It has to be more than that. Even the border groups in Illinois were frightened. She interrupted, looking at a book she had picked up. I don't doubt it. A lot of Quislings like to use Nazi symbols to look intimidating. She gestured toward a stack of binders. There are several groups who do this. For example, there's a huge biker gang in California that decorates everything with SS insignias. In Idaho, some groups dress in old cavalry uniforms. They just pick things from history that seem scary and copy them. Even some of our own troops use such symbols. Colonel Sark's group out in the Cascades uses the Iron Cross as an award for bravery. He asked her if she would read his report, and she agreed. Of course, he handed it to her while they continued talking. She skimmed through the report, occasionally chewing on her pencil out of habit. After finishing, she marked it with a star in the corner. That means it's interesting, she explained. I'll send it up the chain for